Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today I am back with an opera video. Now I do want to get back to making the Beginner's Guide to Opera series, hopefully during the summer when I have more time to really sit down with a score and analyze some arias a little bit more. But today, one of you suggested that I should talk through my opera planning thoughts. And I'm happy to do that. Nothing is set in stone as yet, and I'm certainly not going to be telling you all specific dates. But the Met has released its listing for next season, so that's the 26-27 season. The Met season tends to run concurrent with the US school year, certainly the school year within the Northeast. So it will run from middle to end of September up until the first 2 weeks of June or so. Lately, they have also been taking February off. I haven't noticed if they're doing that this year, but the past couple years they have taken February off, and the New York Ballet has moved in and used the house for the month of February. So things to think about, especially if you're planning on traveling in from elsewhere. But in looking at the new season, I certainly have ones that I would like to see, and I'll talk you through my thought process. So the first one I would like to see is Così fan tutte by Mozart. This will be a second viewing for me. I did see this production in 2018 or 19, but I love Così fan tutte as an opera. I love all Mozarts. Mozart and Verdi are, in my opinion, the most reliable opera composers, and they're two of my favorites. I have a whole video about Così fan tutte, which you can see on my channel in my Beginner's Guide to Opera playlist. I adore it. The gender politics are horrific, but the music is fabulous. This production is a little bit odd as they decided to set it on Coney Island in the 50s. So circus performers will just walk through for no apparent reason. But then again, if you've ever seen the Victor Borge sketch where he makes fun of Mozart operas, sometimes the chorus will walk through, and to quote him, nobody knows why except Mozart, and he's dead. So that's maybe the vibe they're going for. But it's a wonderful opera, and I never mind sitting through it just to hear the beautiful music. The next one we are thinking of seeing, because I always go with my friend and work sister Veronica, is Lincoln in the Bardo. And this is a new opera. It's a new production written by Missy Mazzoli, and the libretto is by Royce Vavrek. I'm consulting the website on my computer. This one I wasn't entirely sure about. I have not read Lincoln in the Bardo. Honestly, I just watched a video from Shelley Swearingen where she read Lincoln in the Bardo, and quite honestly, that told me everything I need to know. I don't feel like I need to read the actual book now. I feel like Hamnet is much more up my street in terms of a book dealing with grief and loss, and couching it in Shakespeare appeals to me much more than couching it within American history. Veronica, however, really wanted to see it. She goes to the opera more for the orchestra than the singers. She is a massive band kid, self-confessed band geek, and the descriptions of the orchestration were really, really interesting. So she really wants to see that. So I'll happily go along. I'll see what I think. I will say the cast is pretty stellar, as we have countertenor Anthony Roth Costanzo, and countertenors are so underused. I'm always excited. Stephanie Blythe is coming back as well, and I adore her mezzo alto type voice and how much she just owns how deep her voice is. And Peter Mattei is singing Lincoln, and I adore Peter Mattei's voice. It is just gorgeous and hypnotic. If you get a chance to see recordings of him, he was in the Met's production of Salome last year as John the Baptist. I got to see him as Don Giovanni a year or two before that. I think twice, actually, I think, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, and he was amazing both times. And I loved his performance in Eugene Onegin. Stunning. So I will happily sit through it for that. Next, another repeat viewing that I think I would like to do is Menel by Jules Massenet. I got to see this in 2019 with Lisette Oropesa and Michael Fabiano, and it was stunning. It's what made me fall in love with Lisette Oropesa. Her performance was just incredible. This is the epitome of French opera to me. The orchestrations are just lush and romantic and gorgeous. It's in 5 acts. You have a ballet section in the middle. It's everything you could possibly want, and it is just gorgeous. Highly, highly recommend. If you're unfamiliar, because it is in fact a book, let me just see if I can grab it here. There it is. It's based on the book Manon Lescaut by Antoine Francois Prévost, and you can rarely find copies of it. That's why this one is so prized. But it tells the story of a young girl in France who is far too high-spirited. Her family doesn't know what to do with her and thinks they're going to ship her to a convent. On the way, however, she meets the Chevalier de Grieux, who falls madly in love with her, whisks her away, but she is consistently torn between her love for him and her desire for riches and luxury and to be beautiful. And ultimately, it takes her down rather a tragic path. This is a gorgeous opera, so I definitely think I'm going to re-see this at some point. Speaking of Lisette Oropesa, I think I also want to see Maria Stuarda, as she will be singing Mary, Queen of Scots. It's Donizetti who writes beautiful bel canto. It's the story of Mary, Queen of Scots, and her relationship with Elizabeth I and her ultimate demise. There are no spoilers in history, and it's fantastic. I love that Donizetti was fascinated by the Tudors, as am I. Is it entirely historically accurate? No. But is it good fun and dramatic? Oh, yes. In terms of other mutual obsessions, I think I would also like to see Otello by Giuseppe Verdi. Verdi loved Shakespeare, and if you get the chance to read Verdi's Shakespeare, it is a fantastic book, and it tells you all about his composing process and how he adapted 3 Shakespeare plays into operas. And of all of them, Otello is the one that I have not seen or heard yet. So I am very excited to potentially have the opportunity to hear it. This one will be especially interesting because while I love that they are not insisting on racial consistency in terms of who plays what character, in terms of Otello, that is kind of an important dynamic. Not essential, but it's one of the more well-known components of Othello. However, in this case, Angel Blue will be singing Desdemona, and Michael Fabiano will be singing Otello. So I wonder if it will add an interesting element to have those roles be racially swapped, as it were. They are both gorgeous singers, so I know they will do a fantastic job with the roles and with the music. Just wondering from a dramatic point of view, would that do something for the story? I don't know. We'll find out. I could always be tempted to see the Rosen Cavalier again. This is by Richard Strauss. No relation to the Waltz Kings. This is a different Strauss. This is gorgeous. It's lush. It's the ultimate in romantic, but leaning more into verismo as well. So there aren't necessarily singable melodies that you would go home humming. It leans much more into trying to recreate actual speech patterns, but amplifying the emotions of that with the music. I've seen this particular production many times on film and in person. Günter Greusbach will be playing Baron Ochs again, and I adore his voice and his portrayal of this character. It's beautiful, it's poignant, it's funny. I really enjoy this. Another repeat viewing that I might have is Samson Dalila by Camille Saint-Saëns. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name well. I try my best with French, but I never actually studied it. This is, as you might imagine, a retelling of Samson and Delilah, the Old Testament story, and this is just another lush, gorgeous opera. The orchestration, the opening chorus, where all of the Hebrew slaves are crying out to God to liberate them from the Philistines or Philistines, however you pronounce it, is just stunning. I walked into this opera in 2018 or 19 with no idea what to expect, and that whole first act just stunned me. It was so gorgeous. I got to see the original performance of this with Elena Garancia and Roberto Alagna at the time, and it was beautiful. They did such a gorgeous job. I don't know as many people in this particular cast, although looking at it, I could be wrong. I do know Alfred Walker. I saw him in Porgy and Bess. He was wonderful. Morris Robinson, I think I've seen in other productions and interviews, and he is also fabulous. Actually, come to think of it, I think I saw Igor Achmedchina in Carmen a year or two ago. So I'm intrigued to see what she does with Delilah. So that being said, I do know people in the cast. Are they going to be as good as the original cast? I hope so. But it's still a gorgeous, gorgeous opera, so I'm hoping I love it just as much. And those are all the ones that I'm considering seeing next year. Like I said, nothing is set in stone, and they have tons of other operas slated. Aida will be playing again. They have more new operas that they will be premiering. Go take a look at their website if you're at all interested, see what they're offering. If you are going to any, let me know down below which ones you are considering. If you have a favorite of these, or if you have questions about any of the productions that I saw earlier, let me know down below. If you want me to do a beginner's guide to videos about any of these that I have seen before, or after I see them next season perhaps, let me know down below. I will add that to my to-do list of videos. But until next time, be safe, be well, and happy listening. Bye, everyone.